Welcome to Meet the Author. This month, Sun City resident and author Margie Hamner shares her wide range of writing topic talent, from investing in real estate to inspiring our youth. Let's meet the author. Oh, Margie, welcome to Meet the Author. It's so nice to have you here. Now, we've got a lot to talk about. With our first book that I'd like to address, The Real Women in Real Estate, who's your target audience for this book?
Well, thank you, Georgia, and thank you, Sun City, for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. And so, yes, The Real Women in Real Estate, the target audience is really anyone that wants to invest in real estate. It can be men, it can be women. It's a collection of different stories, mainly from women, because it's called The Real Women in Real Estate, about how their investment journeys, what they did. And there's lots of different kinds, like storage units, mobile home parks, flips, and foreclosures, and lots of things. So it's a collection of a lot of different ways of investing in real estate.
Now, there are 28 contributing authors to this book, all women. How did you get selected as a contributor?
Well, that's a great story. It's a great question and a great story. So it's so funny how you meet people. So when I was in my day job, when I was working, I was an HR consultant and a coach. And one of my clients was an author for the first book, which was The Real Women in Real Estate, Volume 1. And so I was her coach. This was kind of a side hustle for her. So it really wasn't what they were paying me to do, but it was her side hustle. And she intrigued me. And she introduced me to McGenna, who was the main project lead for the next book. And so I was introduced and then invited to be a contributor.
Now, did you ever have a chance to all meet together to collaborate, or was it simply individual and then collaboration within the editing?
A little bit of both. So in the beginning, we all met, and again, via Zoom. I mean, that has changed our world, hasn't it? So I would meet with all of these 28 women and the publisher, Michael Butler, as well as McGenna, all on a Zoom call, and they were very good about their project plan and what we needed to do. And then at the end, we all met in person in Dallas. So in March of 2024, we all went to Dallas. We had a celebration. At that point, we were a best-selling book, and I was able to actually meet all these amazing women in person.
Before we move on, your chapter in here is a reflection of your own personal experience. This isn't some book lesson you're giving us. This is what you did, and you were very successful at real estate investing. So can you give the viewers maybe just one quick takeaway that you'd like us to know about real estate investing from your chapter?
Well, sure. I mean, when I was invited to be, again, part of this collaboration book, I was like, wow, where do I start? So I kind of went back in time and I did a chronology, if you will, of all the different investments. I started out with, in the 90s, in the Washington, D.C. area, there was a lot of foreclosures, picking up those foreclosures, moving them from one property or moving them over time. And when I wrote the book, wrote my chapter, I didn't realize I had a theme. And then my theme emerged, was like after I kind of documented that chronology, was that there was a common theme of my family. And so it seemed like when I would make a decision to buy real estate, it was, wow, how can this property benefit a family member? How could this property benefit me or my family versus just a plain old place where you put tenants in. I had a lot of those where, so a lot of it was, that's why I called my chapter All in the Family.
So that could have ended up a very dramatic chapter. You were very fortunate, and it was so intriguing to read the journey that you took. Now, you certainly have had a marvelous career from what I've read as a human resources manager. You have been a leadership coach. But you said that this particular adventure into, writing this chapter sort of awakened in you an inner author.
Yes. We all have what we call limiting beliefs. And I had this as a coach, helping a manager, helping a person crush those thoughts that come into your mind saying, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you're going to fall on your face. So I certainly knew that myself. And so I always wanted to be an author, Georgia, ever since I was a little girl. I wanted to be an author ever since I used to watch a show called The Waltons.
Oh.
Who didn't know John Boy,
John
right?
Boy.
And I imagined myself as John Boy. I would see him sitting at the front of the house at his desk, writing kind of a summary of what happened that day. And again, coincidentally, I grew up with a family of 7. I was not the oldest like John Boy, but I wanted to be a writer, and I let that go. And I let that go in my life for various reasons. And so this was sort of a way to jump into that in a kind of a safe way. When you're in a collaborative book like this, when you're just one chapter amongst 28 others, you can kind of hide. It's not your book. It's like you can be part of a book. So I gained the confidence to be able to eventually step out and create my own book.
Now, I have to believe that with the success you've had in your careers, what skills did you sort of draw back on to make this authorship happen?
Well, I think a lot of it, I mean, in my corporate world, writing was different. I mean, it's policies, it's procedures, it's writing proposals. It's very boring, you know. So this was a completely different kind of a genre. That was a stretch, honestly, for me. So I think a lot of it was learning to step outside of what I already knew to gain into something different.
Well, I think when we talk about something that you knew, it should lead us into your second book. And this is Magic Ball of Light, and it's written for children. Now, I have to ask, is it a coincidence that really what we read in Magic Ball of Light, I loved it from page to page, and I go back to it sometimes.
Yeah.
It reads pretty much like a leadership coaching, a life coaching for those children. Am I correct?
You were spot on. I mean, I can't. Okay, you were spot on, and you can see the connection, the segue from one type of a lifestyle to a new type of a lifestyle. May I share a little bit about how that transition occurred?
Yes.
And so when I was deciding to retire, when I was just sort of like done with the whole leadership coaching and training, I was in a group, a mastermind group, where I had this unexpected vision, honestly, on a Zoom call with people all over the world. And I had this unexpected vision where I was no longer in my home anymore, and I was in a field holding a ball of light with children. And I'm like, this is really bizarre. And then I'm passing this ball of light to children who are putting it in their hearts, and it's going around the circle. And then I'm back in my home office on a Zoom call, and I'm like, that was really weird. And it's like in the middle of the day, and I hadn't had any wine. I mean, it was just like, what happened there? And so I was like, that had never really happened to me before. So of course, I sort of scratched my head about it. I didn't really tell my husband about it for a while because I thought he would think I was a little bit loony. And as I contemplated it, I realized, I said, maybe the ball of light is what I already know. What it's already, like what you're saying, what I've been teaching adults in all of these emotional intelligence, it's self-esteem, it's confidence, it's gratitude, it's mindfulness. So these are things that I was teaching in my corporate life, but now I want to teach it to children. And so I created that ball of light being the same thing.
Well, it was perfect because it drew on your past experiences, but it relates so well to children because they need that concrete, reaction to what you were telling them in the stories. Now, I have to ask, the central character, Mimi, is she based on someone that you know?
Well, I mean, in a sense, she's me. I mean, and so
I had money bet on that. I had money bet on that one.
Well, you would win the lottery tonight if you hopefully you bet well. But a lot of it was, again, this vision that I saw, and I guess I left out the part where I saw myself moving out of that corporate America business suit into kind of like a hippie-ish, bohemian, gypsy kind of outfit, more welcoming.
And more so maternal, though. So maternal.
Approachable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered if it was you because it just seemed like it was because how do your grandchildren enjoy being named? The character's named for them.
Yeah, so before I get to answer that question, so then after my husband and I went on a cruise, right, shortly after I had this vision, and we were on a 12-day cruise, and that's where I literally downloaded this book. I wasn't planning on writing a book on a cruise. It just something with the water. It was the timing. And so every day I would write a chapter about a different child. And I have 6 grandchildren. I'm very blessed with that. And so 5 of them are in the book. And many of the stories, some are real, some are fictional. You know, for example, the one with Grace, she's being bullied. She really wasn't bullied at school, but it was like to teach kids what would happen if you were bullied at school, because it's a thing. It's a thing that happens, you know. And Olivia, who has a really messy room, a lot of kids have messy rooms. So like, what does that feel like? What's that energy when you're in a room like that? You know, you can't concentrate. So I think they like being in the book. And my friend who was the illustrator drew their faces perfectly. And she had never met them. I just gave her photographs and she drew their pictures.
It's wonderful. Now, as I look back at what you've done for people, when I looked, you know, I did a lot of research and, you know, about the company that you were in with your leadership things. And then, of course, the tributes that people said, you know, about how you've affected their life. I wondered, were you that fortunate when you started this writing career? Do you have someone sort of coaching you and being your mentor?
You know, that is such a great question, and I wish I could tell you that yes, there was this person who was my guiding light. I guess I could say my husband was one, because he's a natural writer, and I would always, you know, give him things to look at. But I've learned, since I sort of did this by the seat of my pants, honestly, this whole thing happened. This whole thing of writing this book, which having the vision created this one. I sort of did it by the seat of my pants. So now I'm in a writing group. Now I have a mentor. But in the beginning, I didn't, because, you know, you don't know that you don't know that you could be better.
Well,
you know, it's like
I will tell you that you kind of like moved into this beautiful literary area. Pat Conroy has sprinkled magic dust over this whole area, because so many of the authors, so many writing groups, such an influence in this small little low country area. We're not New York City. We're not publishing headquarters, but we have got so much going on with writers. So I'm so happy that you found someone. My last question would be, where is your writing journey taking you next?
Well, so I started out with a collaborative book, you know, and now I'm going to move into it. I'm getting ready to publish, or I'm part of another collaborative book called Brave Kids. And that's another 20-some authors. I decided to do that again because I love the community. I loved meeting these women and having other people who did real estate investing. Now I wanted to be with other children's book authors, because I'm kind of by myself, you know, find others that want to have brave kids too. You know, so I'm part of that collaborative book, which is coming out on June 3rd. And then, of course, I'm writing the sequel to this book, which is called Magic Ball of Light Winter Holiday, which will come out in the fall. So that's going to be 2025. It's so exciting.
You pretty much failed at retirement, but you succeed in everything else that you do. And thank you, I guess I should say, for sharing the light.
Oh, thank you, Georgia. And that is my mission, I feel like, is to share the light, because I really believe Mimi didn't have to give anyone the light. It's already inside of them. It's just sparking the light.
Well, you got it.
Thank you.